Good evening, welcome to tonight's Hearthstone half hour. I'm Hammy, this is FailCraft Casts, hope you're well and good, and we have a special guest, Shep's in the house. And that aside, today's New Player Monday, we're going to be doing some Miracle Token Druid. Some people know this as the easy legend, quote unquote, off of Hearthstone, by none other than Pawnee. So the deck is solid in itself. We were playing some Token Druids the other week. Let's jump on in and have a look and see what this one can do. It's a bit of an intro, a little bit of a guide. We'll be learning the deck as we go along, so do not expect legend level play, but we're just going to introduce you to how the deck works and some of the concepts with it. And there's Shep. We'll move Shep into the middle while we do a few bits and bobs around card draft and showing you the nuts and bolts of how this deck can run. So, Miracle Druid, and we'll show you. Now, we've been playing a bit of legendary Druid with the old Firebat deck. Hey Silver, hey Bring, hey Sparta, welcome to all of those of you live on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, come join us, twitch.tv/FailCraftCast in future. So Miracle Druid, Tokeny Druid, you kind of have two different styles. Now, the Miracle Druid, Miracle borrowing from the Rogue, of course, you've got two Gadgetzan Auctioneer in here, which we'll come to in terms of the deck core. Then, in terms of the token piece, what do I say token as well? Well, you get lots of little tokens, little 1/1s down on the deck here, and you can also then basically use Savage Roar and Force of Nature as well. Savage Roar gives +2 to all of your minions and indeed characters, so it gives your hero +2 as well in terms of attack. Force of Nature drops those three 2/2 Treants that die at the end of the go. So your goal is to have a huge truckload of minions effectively on the table in the mid to mid-late game, and then you Savage Roar. There's hopefully no tanks in the way, and then you finish up. That's the goal. To get to that position, use the Miracle Element. So the Miracle Element is having Gadgetzan Auctioneer down and throwing cheap spells around. So ideally you innovate into something earlier, but if you need to Moonfire to trigger your Gadgetzan Auctioneer, so be it. You've got Azure Drake in there as a pin. So we'll go through card by card, take a few little butchers at what's in there, and then we'll pretty quickly actually with this deck jump into some more games. So as you can see, we've got the deck pre-prepared. We won't be picking it all. First up, we have a couple of innovates in there. So innovate, if you are ramping, fairly standard, but this will let us get things out earlier, and if we do in the mid-game need to reach out and get the table under control with some more big minions, we could play this off to Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Generally quite happy playing the innovate early in the game, but throwing it down after a Gadgetzan, getting more big chunky minions on the table in the mid-game, all well and good. Moonfire, dealing 1 damage. Of course, remember we've got spell damage with the Azure Drake that we'll take a look at later. So Moonfire can do 2 damage for 0 mana. It will trigger Gadgetzan Auctioneer to move cards, really against a rush or something really nasty. It may help us squish some low health minions off the table in the early game. Claw, just the 1 claw, that triggers Gadgetzan, and also the 2 attack and 2 power will mean that we can be removing nasty enemy minions if we really need to in the early game, so situational use, but will also trigger one of our card drawing conditions. Wild Growth, gain an empty mana crystal, used in Ramp Druid decks, nothing wrong with that here. Remember that if you're at 10 mana and you throw this down, you can't have more than 10 mana crystals. It will then let you draw a card for 0 mana. Well, you play this card for 2, and then the card after lets you draw for 0, so that's effectively a 2 mana card draw if you get to the late game. But why do we throw down growths? Well, in the early game we want to be trying to ramp up, so you can see with our mana curve actually we've got quite a lot of 4, 5, 6, you know, we've got quite a congested mid game. So if we can get wild growths down early in the game for free, and by free I kind of mean we play it of course for the mana, but we don't get penalised for it, then that's going to help us have more mana crystals, more to play with in the mid to late game, when you can see we've got all these big chunky cards that we want to be throwing out and doing some damage with. So there we go, wild growths come in. Next we've got Wrath, 3 damage to a minion, 1 damage and draw a card. Either way we're looking at control. We need to keep minions off the table in the early game and make sure we're not overwhelmed. Wrath will help us do that, and equally will our choice over here in the Wild Pyromancer. Casting a spell, dealing 1 damage to all, that is really our anti-rush, anti-aggro weapon. There's nothing really that we can use to buff up the Pyromancer. Priests and Druids are the 2 kind of classes you can easily buff up health on minions, and generally both of those classes do it with spells. So we throw down a Pyro, we start throwing down cheap spells after it, and hopefully, maybe if we can throw 2 cheap spells down after it, we can wipe out 2 health off the table all around. That's going to be helping us against Zoo's nasty aggro decks, and also the rather nasty Firebat Hunter that we've taken a look at, but that is also very popular on the ladder in this early part of December 2014. Next up, Savage Roar. Give your characters 2. We're dropping this mid to late game, ideally when we've got a lot of minions on the table, so that +2 across all characters means that we have a lethal hit our enemy hero to the face for a lot of damage. 2 Shade of Necks. Throw them down when you get them, leave them there, and they'll get stronger and stronger and stronger as the game goes on. It's a very fine turn 3 drop. If you ramp into it on turn 1, it can get very nasty very quick. Leave it stealth by all means, but if you do have to unveil it, remember that even when you unstealth it, it's still going to be gaining 1/1 every turn unless your opponent can kill it. So the stealth just lets it get bigger and bigger and bigger and nastier without interruption, generally speaking. But if you do need to unveil it, don't be afraid to. 2 swipes, that's for table control. 4 damage, of course, to the main target, 1 to the others. And remember that that benefits from spell damage too. So with our Azure Drake down, that does 5 to an enemy, 2 damage to all others. 2 Groves then in the mid game. As with all Druid decks, 2 damage picks off minions. Silences also help you get through tanks, but also remove nasty table effects. And finally, the 2 attack 4 health mean that it can trade a bit in terms of attacks too. Violet Teachers ×2. This is for the token moment. If we get this down and we're casting spells, we're summoning apprentices. Those 1/1 apprentices can benefit from Savage Rule. Equally, the 3 attack 5 health. If we're really in a pinch, it will let us trade a few minions away on the table too. 2 Drakes. The very, very strong mid-game sort of pivot card. It sings, it dances, and it acts. It's got spell damage, it draws a card, and with 4 attack, 4 health, it will do some damage as well if we really need it to. Don't forget that spell damage, as we said earlier in the game, benefiting Moonfire, amongst other things, such as Swipe. The Gadgetzan Auctioneer, this is the miracle element. We get this guy out, we're throwing down cheap spells, we're drawing cards. Remember that the Gadgetzan Auctioneer is so that we can get our lots of minions on the table, we get our win condition, we get our Savage Roars, so we can use that Savage Roar Force of Nature-ish combo at the end. You're playing the Gadgetzan Auctioneer and the spells after it because you're wanting to draw into your win state, into your bunch of cards that's going to bring the game home for you, ideally. Of course, if luck goes your way, and you always need a bit of luck in a card game. Lotheb just seems to be in every deck at the moment, and with good reason. 5/5/5, his stats will let him do some damage, but primarily for that battle cry. Enemy spells costing 5 more really puts a crimp in a whole bunch of decks. So it's going to be a mage deck slinging spells around any other miracle decks, and pretty much there's no bad time unless you know that your opponent really wants to dump a whole bunch of spells. So if you're playing against another miracle and they get their, let's say they drop their Gadgetzan Auctioneer, they drop a Conceal, they're waiting to play a bunch of spells next go, then it's worth saving a Lotheb for that point because you know you're going to hit them for the most painful point possible. But if that is turn 5 or turn 4 with a coin and you want to get Lotheb out, there's nothing too wrong with getting him down early just because of his chunky stats too. Force of Nature, I want to combo that with Savage Roar as we discussed. 2/2 Treants, so you have 6 damage there. Savage Roar tops that up to 12. And then plus whatever else you have on the table. Remember that you then have 14 damage because your hero, if your hero can attack, your hero also gets 2 attack from the Savage Roar. So Force of Nature, Savage Roar will give you 14 damage with the Treants, the buff Treants, and the additional 2 attack to your hero as well. So any other minions you have also get that +2, +2, +2. And welcome to Gloids as well. Good to see you back. So next we then jump into a Cairn Bloodhoof. Cairn is going to be causing his usual trouble. When he dies, his brother pops up. He sticks to the table pretty nicely. So if you're trying to get minions down for a Savage Roar, then Cairn should hopefully be there when you're ready to rock and roll. Sylvanas, now situational, can be swapped with the Black Knight for tank busting. The tank buster that is the Black Knight. Sylvanas good if Death Rattle takes control of a minion. If Sylvanas doesn't, she doesn't really do anything, as some people have pointed out, when she's played. Now, by that I think people mean a battle cry-ish effect. The 5 attack, 5 health, slightly low for the 6 mana, but a very powerful ability. Sylvanas, if people have a lot of minions down, it really makes them twitchy when you play a Sylvanas, obviously, because they need to make sure that they get their play order right. Ideally, they want to kill Sylvanas when they have nothing left on the table. or small minions, which they don't really mind if you take control of them. As I've illustrated with some epic fails in the past, if you misplay your own Sylvanas or against Sylvanas, you can really put yourself in some problems. So Sylvanas is there because we would like something to help us turn the tide, Gandalf the Grey Star, or sorry, Gandalf the White, at the end of the game. Last but not least, we're going to be attacking a bit with our hero in this game, and our hero will take some damage. So the Ancient of Law is a nice Druid multifunctional card. You either draw the 2 if you're nice up on your health, if you're good, if you're wanting to really push home at the end of the game, or restoring the 5 health if you've taken a few knocks. Righty then, we have covered that deck. Next up, we're going to jump on in, we're going to grab the Miracle Druid, we're going to jump in on a ladder. Operation Legend for us begins. We're going to see if we can legend this December. So we're going to be trying to put a bit of pressure on and seeing if we can get up the ladder. But while we're still low ranked, we don't mind jumping in and testing out some new stuff. So that's roughly how this deck is going to work. And so I don't cover my hand, Sleepy Dog is going to move over to the side. Okay, so we are playing a Priest. We do not know what is coming, but what I do know is that I'm not too happy with all of those this early. I'm going to go for a full mulligan because I would like some more control. Remember, of course, we're going to be learning this deck a bit as we're going along. So let's see what we can grab. I'm feeling that I want... Okay, nothing going that turn, but we've got a Shade next that we can drop into as well. An Auctioneer and a Cairn mean that we've got a fairly solid mid-game. But what we could really do with is, hopefully, if nothing's coming from the Priest, I'm going to hold on to that Moonfire. Remember, that will trigger our Auctioneer. And nothing wrong at all with simply using my Druid hero power, getting shape-shifted up, dropping a little bit of damage, a little bit of armour. And down goes a Pyromancer. Interesting choice. I'm actually going to be quite happy to get that removed off the table. He's kind of baiting it out a little bit, but I'm quite happy with the Wrath there. I'm playing tokens, of course, so I don't really want a Pyromancer left on the table, because you can throw spells around that will do me nastiness. Saving the Moonfire for the card draw. Could, of course, have gone for the Moonfire into a Wrath. Wrath. Ooh, nasty. Down goes a Circle of Healing. His solid minion is well and truly established on the table. Now, a couple of options here. I can Wild Growth, meaning I can drop a Cairn the next turn, or I can Shade of Naxxramas and get that big and nasty and starting to get it threatening. The Cairn will certainly make our Blade Master think twice, but really what I want to be doing next turn is throwing down my Gadgetzan with a Moonfire. So, with that in mind, I could just Wild Growth also. Oh, the new Paladin Legendary card. Thrasher's Head, have you seen the name Paladin Legend? I'm not sure if Thrash means a deck there, but there's a really nice Paladin card that I've just seen drop and it's awesome. It's really cool. Oops, I need to I've just enabled Nightbox. Let me go sort that out for you. Okay. Right. I'm going to sort that problem out while we work out our next play. Okay, well I've decided to go and ramp. Okie dokie. Protection. Okay, what was the link? What was the link? Okie dokie. Right, we have taken a Thought Steal and then proceeded to a blow to the face with the Blade Master. Not so nice. So I cannot be miracling hugely with my Gadgetzan. What I want to be doing is just causing our Priest some problems. Okay, so taking a few blows. But what I can be doing now is, of course, I could be miracling a bit with the Gadgetzan, but I don't have 2 Moonfires. Do I want to be controlling the table? Yes, of course. Controlling the table, never a bad thing. Right. I'm going to go for the Gadgetzan play. For better, for worse. I'll just trade in there. So, we got a little bit distracted by Nightbot. Cancelling a few links. Plays the Shade of Naxxramas, which have certainly helped us. Basically, our worry is, because we went for the sort of ramping option with the Wild Growth, our worry is this Blade Master. Now, he's all topped up, he's very strong, of course we can silence him down. We can just drop that slime away with a keeper. We've got a swipe that can certainly get this low, and then we can cairn. So there's options for us to start removing things away. In comes a Wrath. Of course we had a Thought Steal. So he's going to be removing that and tipping that away. In comes a coin and 5 mana left to play. Down goes a Belcher of his own, but of course we can silence through that. So you can see the Blade Master, for its only 4 attack, is just going to get chip and chip and chip and chip. It's going to be quite frustrating. Alrighty then, so I'm going to go for the silence. Reason for the silencing, just punches us through there. What I can then do is swipe into a can to get that removed. I think I quite like that swipe into a Bloodhoof. And we'll get Bane up on the table. What am I missing? I'm missing Violet Teacher. We've not managed to get a big bunch of tokens out. And we've neither managed to do huge amounts of other as well, in terms of grabbing sort of a big bunch of minions for our Savage Raw Force of Nature. So we've struggled on getting the tokens down, we've struggled a little bit. Oh, an Ancient of Law, and he's actually gone for the card drawer as well, very, very nicely done. So Thought Steal with Priests, always going to bite you in the bottom at some point or another. Okay, so 7 mana, he will have control the options that he can drop. Do I just want to commence? The Draking is not really going to do huge amounts, but I'll get tough stuff on the table that I can start to trade with. Low tab will certainly slow a man down, but I don't want to mind control. I'm a little bit mindful of that. Ooh, okay. I'm going to really go for some aggressive ramping. Well, I can do that. I can certainly attack and do that. Now, when I get to a turn 9, or when I know that my Scientist is going to mind control or similar, of course there's plenty of nasty spells that a Priest can play before 10 mana. So let's see if Loteb was the right play or not. Shadow Wed Pay? No, he's just Cabal Priested away, getting some stuff on the table. And a heal, so he's going to try and trade away with some of the cards he's Thought Stealed from me. See you later, beginning of a new season. We're of course the 1st of December, so you get some probably tougher in a good way early game plays. Now if only I had my Force of Nature Savage Raw combo, we would be in a position, not quite in a win position, but pretty close to. So for this reason, I would like to get some pressure on my opponent. However, I'm quite low on the old health situation as well. There's lots of nasty things kicking around here. I'm thinking maybe the Ancient of Law for the heal might have been the play. We're going to have to see how that goes. I'm going to drop one of those off the table. Now I can heal myself if I can keep these minions on the table, then we can look at the Savage Raw next turn. So this is where the mass comes in. It's 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I've got enough if he doesn't heal next turn, if he doesn't remove any of my minions. However, he can very easily trade off with the Cabal Priest and have some leftovers. So a little bit annoying that he's managed to Cabal away my Druid there. A bit of chat, of course. It was a Bolvar 4 Dragon. He's sort of a new Paladin card and looking very, very shiny indeed. Whenever a friendly minion dies while this is in your hand, gain 1 attack. So if you can sacrifice loads of minions, then you get loads of attack. In the meantime, we've been charged into on multiple occasions, and of course a Shadow of Death removing Lerteb, so we're not out of the woods yet. Double Savage Roar. Oh, well, okay. I think the Ancient of Law is just a necessary evil on this occasion. But then we're sacrificing Keeper of the Grove. The Keeper of the Grove, I think I'm going to go for that in terms of just solid removal. And that will get removed. I'm not too worried about a Keeper of the Grove. What I want to be doing is chipping that away if I can get my Force of Nature. But now we're at the 10 mana stage. Mind controls can start happening. All kinds of nasty things can happen from a priest. Down goes a Pyromancer. Now if he's throwing out spells, that's going to be doing 1 chip each time. Holy Nova. Okay. Well, nicely done, and of course that removes the final one of those as well. Healed up. Very nicely priested here. And of course, Thought Steal's causing all the problems. So, are we going to Ancient of Law and take the risk, or are we just going to heal up for a sort of play? I just don't know if the priest has got burst. I'm going to take the risk. There we go, we've got a Force of Nature into a Savage Roar. Now he needs to remove this off the table, so let's work it out. So we've got 6. Well, we've got enough with that on the table for the Force of Nature and Roar, so he needs to remove my Ancient of Law, or he needs to finish me this go. You know, let's quickly do the maths. So 6, that's 6, 11, and then you add another 2, 4, 6, 8. He should, I really expect him to remove this. Okay. Right, come on brain, have we got it? So this Force of Nature gives us 6. No, it only gives us 14. We don't have quite enough to finish this off, sadly. I can't double Savage Roar, of course, so is it a question of... Not quite enough. Is it a question of trying to get table control? I'm going to take this. It's a little bit of a risk, but if I can just keep this stuck on the table. So the challenge with this sort of Force of Nature Savage Roar combo is that I just don't quite have the lethal. I will if that sticks to the table. You just need something on the table that's going to get buffed. But we can see lots of buffs, and of course if he gets out of tank, that's really going to spoil my day. Yeah, Force Savage into Savage and swipe would be a 2-turn lethal. That he has 17, said Thresh. Yeah, that's true. So let's see whether me trying to get it in one go is actually going to cause the problems. And maybe putting that pressure on rather than sitting back would have been a better play. There goes a Power Word. He's not going to be able to heal himself now though, of course. Ooh, okay, right, so let's do my maths. And is that the win we are looking for? I do believe it is. Perfect amount. Lovely stuff. Whew. Okay, well Thresh made a very good point. If I'd Force of Nature and then Savage into a Savage and a swipe, that would be a 2-turn lethal indeed. It would have been pretty tough. You wouldn't, you know, that would have put our opponent there on the back foot, and they very much would have had to have been fishing for tanks and similar things. So it was risky going for that 1-turn lethal. Perhaps a bit of a get out of jail free there for us. Let's play another game or two and see, not only against other decks, but see how we can sort of evolve that a bit as well. Okay, we've got a Hunter. Right, so another Hunter. Right, what are we going to be wanting to do here? Well, in terms of mulliganing, what do I want against Hunters? I know that if it's one of these newfangled Hunters, not much of that is going to be much good. Keeper of the Grove, if I was going second. If it's, let's see if it's a 5-out Hunter or not in a couple of games I've been playing today. Of course, we're at the beginning of a month here. whatever time you're watching this, that will still be relevant, because beginning of a month is beginning of a new season, and at the beginning of a new season you will always see a whole bunch of very strong, very excellent players, not including myself, making their way up the ladder in the first few days. So even though we're playing at rank 19 at the moment, there's some pretty good players, which is good for us, and good for you guys to watch as well. Hunter is pondering away. We've got a seriously snoring dog as well behind us. Oh, and after saying hello to the dog, we've seen us very typical. This is a fire batty, as we put it before. Do I want to be innovating into anything at this point? There's an interesting question. I can, next turn, unless he drops another death rattle, do I really want to go hyper aggressive and get that removed off the table? 2 attack and 2 armor will certainly get that out of the way, but then I miss out on a shade. I'm going to go for it. Oh, hang on a second, am I just... No? I'm alright, I'm correct. There we go. I don't like leaving those Undertakers on the table, and that is... Some might see that as a waste of an innovate, but depending on what he has in hand, that Undertaker... I believe it was 5at or someone similar who recently interviewed Chatting Wise over strategy said, oh, Undertakers are broken. Now, there's, whether they're broken or not, I don't know, but they're certainly very, very strong. They can drop into a lot of decks. There's a lot of death rattles around that feed them. And if you do get a very good death rattle start with an Undertaker, and you see he would have thrown down the gnome, so that Undertaker would have become even stronger. So we would have had a very nasty death rattling Undertaker by turn 2. I'm not entirely sure how happy it would have been with that. So, options. Do I want to keep the table under control? Yeah, I'm not going to be sacrificing that web spinner until I absolutely have to. Take another 2, but I can get down my Violet Teacher, and then we can start casting spells when we have them. So, Shades of Nax we can also throw down. It might be worth just dropping a few of those on the table to get a bit of pressure on. So this 5at Hunter we're playing against, we've covered it a little in our sort of new player friendly-ish way. But you're going to see a lot of these hunters, these types of hunters. It's got a mix of early game aggressive with the sort of mid-game control hunter that we've known and loved over the last few seasons. Alrighty then, okay, options we have. We can start Violet Teaching. I could just Moonfire that away. Let's experiment with it the other way. We'll get our token on the table. Now, if that's going to be a King Crush... Okay, so, types all typed. They are scary snowballs if you ignore them, and you don't want to ignore them. I couldn't agree more, Thresh. Now goes a secret. We're going to have to stop playing around that Hunter secret. So, whether it's an explosive or a misdirect or a whatever, I'm quite happy dropping that. If it's a freezing or when I get explosive, hey, you know what, at least I've triggered it. If it was a freezing, then I wouldn't have wanted that going back to hand. Of course, I've given him that. He will be able to remove my Violet Teacher. Okay, now I can shade. There's no way I'm playing spells anyway. I don't know what our Hunter's going to be playing spell-wide. Loath, there would have been a nice piece of solid table. Oh, schoolboy error there. You just see me fail to attack. If I lose by 1 health, Yay, and welcome, Vengeance. Miracle Druid is actually a thing. Yeah, it's actually a thing, Vengeance. It's pretty strong as well. I'll link you the deck that we're taking a look at. We're looking a look, for those of you who just joined us, who have joined us recently, we're taking a look at Pawnee's deck. It's a thing, it's kind of a mix, it's quite strong, but it's one of those decks which, will struggle, all decks will struggle against certain matchups, but this is the kind of deck that generally, I think, if you're in an early game sort of laddery situation, lower ladder situation, it's not going to be doing you huge favours. I'm just going to low tap. Now, do I sort of give the game away? I'm going to just trigger this. Freezing. Okay. At least I managed to trigger that. I can still throw that down if I really want. I've still got my other 3 Shade of Necks, so it's a bit of a shame that this got bounced back, but I can do more damage with the low tip. What I'm not quite such a fan of though is that I've been buffing this Eagle Horn bow until Kingdom Come. It's getting a lot of durability. So he can keep swinging away with that. However, any spells are going to be slowed down for a turn. Turn 6, what do I want to do? Well, I can shade into a shapeshift. Like that. Drops a nice Ancient of Law turn 7 if I've taken a lot of damage to the face. In fact, against a hunter, pretty much guaranteed that this is going to be restoring 5 health rather than drawing cards. Okay, down goes my X now, and that's going to be trading all sorts of things off the table. But I actually think that in this situation, I'm just going to silence it. Reason for that being, I want to get some damage on this hero fairly quick. He can tip away at me for 2, but my X-Snow with that ability, if I hadn't silenced her, of destroying any minion damage by this minion, combined with that 8 health, she'd just be tipping and tipping and tipping away until all my minions were gone. However, I'm still trying to get myself set up. Let's not forget for that Force of Nature Savage Draw. Could be vulnerable a bit to an Unleash the Hounds, of course. Let's not forget that from a Hunter. He still has that in his armoury. Still things like the Direwolf Alpha and similars that will buff up his beasts also. So I do have a 1 big hit finisher, but so does our opposing Hunter. Just because there's no Starving Buzzard quite so prevalent anymore doesn't mean that a Hunter can't whack us for a load of damage in 1 turn. And of course he's got 5 straight up with his weapon. Top that up to a 7. Hunter's Mark down to 1. Yep, there we go. Gone for a removal, so he's at least keeping the damage off the face, but still 7 mana. Down comes the Houndmaster. It wasn't a Snapjaw, says Thrash. Thrash was calling the Snapjaw. 10 to the face, and Hunter hitting me to the face as well. This could well be a loss if we're not careful. Okay, well, I don't think I have huge amounts of choice apart from to heal myself here. It's playing anything very risky if I don't. I can swipe into Wrath into a swipe and then trade things away. He may have charges, so it's, do I want to take that additional 5 heal and not be able to clear this quite so easily? Or not? That is the challenge. Let's go for... I'm going to go for something a bit alternative. This may well be a loss, but let's get experimental. So I'm going to get a card draw for that. I can get another 2. Okay, I'll draw into a Gadgetzan. I can do that to that. I think just a straight trade here is fine, because then I can keep my... I'm actually going to start a little bit of impacting now. I can still heal next turn. The question is... question is, if I throw down a Law, okay, well and good. I've managed to clear the table, and that Shade of Nexaremus may well be worth its weight in gold by this point. Is he going to remove it? What does he have in his 3 cards? If he has charge cards, and if this is a Huffer, then I'm in a lot of trouble. Okay, it's drawn into a Misha. Down goes an Eagle Horn, which will then let him just remove. Or he can just hit me to the face. Very, very easily. Now that drops me down to 3. Now I can 4/4, which will give me a direct trade, and now there's absolutely no option but for me to restore the 5 health, because otherwise I will perish. So it's annoying, but I need to get rid of that Misha, and they need to tap in the face for 1. We are hanging in by the skins of our teeth. Now if I had Force of Natures and Savage Roars, this is the point where I would have won, but we've not managed to get out the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. We're into the late game now. We've not managed to draw a bunch of cards, so this is where not being able to get our tokens on the table, get our Savage Roars and Force of Nature and similar is going to probably spell our demise. Down goes an Ironbeak. Silencing. So he's got the damage on the table. Can I tank and defend myself? Can I knock him off the table or remove all of this? Risky. Okay, well, a Sylvanas. I'm not going to be able to cast a spell and draw a card. I need to armour myself up regardless. So let's tap that for starters. This is where the shade coming back to the hand was a little bit frustrating. Now that, when it dies, of course, is just going to finish me off pretty much. If I pop that off, it does 2 and then drops down to 4, and I can't get my health any higher back, so I just need to remove one of these, which is not that. But if he attacks with that, he will only do 2, he would attack with that, and then he'll do 4. I just don't... Gadgetzan might give me the options for the victory, I don't know. It's a risk. Well, I'm going to do this. I know that I will take at least 4. Okay, there's probably plenty of things that can cause me wreckage. What's the remaining one going to be? Is that card going to do the remaining one? It is not. Oh, so close. Just so close. So this is the thing. If I had a Force of Nature or a Savage Roar, you can see that I've missed out here by 1 damage. In fact, there is one option. So if this gives me what I need... Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Oh, do you know what? Oh wow. Oh wow. That kills him first, so that blows him up before me. Is that a draw? Or do I lose? Oh, amazing. Amazing. So guys, I don't know if I messed that up. Did I mess it up? Was there a way around it? I drew into something as well with that swipe. I got a draw. I don't think... Was there a way... No, because the additional 1 would have killed him regardless. Okay, one final game. Okie dokie. No, Vengeance. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure there was a way around it. Oh, Druid. Okay, right. Oh, I'm being threatened already. Okay, so we've got an Innovate, we've got a Wild Growth, and then an Azure Drake. I'm going to drop that Drake back. Or am I? Yeah, I'm going to drop it back and see if we can grab something else to innovate into. Moonfire, okay, well I quite like a Gadgetzan Auctioneer. If I could innovate into a Gadgetzan Auctioneer, that would really get our game going nice and quick, nice and early. Oh, and I've just drawn a Drake back. Okay, nothing for me to do there apart from tap on the desk. Okay, so we have our Druid. What is our Druid going to be? Are they going to be Druiding similar to us? Are they going to be playing token? In comes a coin. This is going to be an Innovate as well. Nope, a Haunted Creeper. Could be a token Druid. Could be similar to us. Some token versions do run off creepers and similar, so let's not count our chickens. I'm just going to pop that in. Let's get an additional mana. And we can be on turn 5. This should be a nice, interesting one. Swipe, our hero card of the hour, coming in, salvaging the draw. Okay, so here's an interesting one. So we can now start doing all kinds of funky little things here. I could do this. Oh, 1 token. Do I want to be innovating. Now I could innovate, then just let me pop this off the table into a double. There might be some trading going on. Feels like a tad of a waste of an innovate, but this is the Hearthstone half hour and we are laddering and learning and having fun. So I'm going to go against my best instincts, or what instincts I do have. I'm going to innovate into innovate into a shapeshift. Now we may just see a straight up trade, but we've not actually seen with this deck yet the ability for us to have loads of our tokens and then Force of Nature, Savage Roar, like with a massive full board. So we're not going to go against that rather than anything else, but we'll see what we can grab. Okay, we see the trade incomes and innovates. We're going to be up to 5 mana. I could expect a Drake. No, down goes a Claw Druid. That'll be a bear, and there is the block. Nice. Okay, so I can Drake, which will let me bridge. The spell will give me my 1 token. I'm going to trade him off the table with a swipe. Bosh. And this is what I was talking about by using the Violet Teacher as a fairly solid body in terms of the 5 health that it has. Means that you can use her to trade away minions when you need to. There we go, using hero health as a resource, very nicely done. Down goes an Echoing Ooze. Save as Swipe. I feel that Swipe has become a hero. Okay, so 2 Echoing Ooze on the table. This is very much token play. It looks though our Druid is also going to be trying to buff things up as well. So, in which case I want to keep his tokens under control whilst summoning lots of my own tokens. For that reason, I'm not going to go for the Drake on this occasion, so I can get this down. 2 of these are going to let me remove one of those. Now, if I can keep the tokens under control, and remember, if we're playing another Druid, down comes a Harvest Golem, lots of tokens that can get buffed here, and this is a real sort of seesaw back and forth, unless we're overcooking this deck, and I don't think we are, given what we've seen isn't it, then there's lots of nastiness that could turn up here. So, options now. I can tip away this, I can trade that away, but then that's going to be out. Wrath, when this is down, will let me remove the one after it. I'm not so low on health as to use the Ancient of Law, so I'm actually going to keep this sort of seesaw going. And oh, very nice. Now, of course, we've drawn into another Wrath there as well. So, do I want to tip away this? I'm going to do that. It will, of course, die inevitably. I'm going to use my health. That Ooze will be used as a trade. We might even have a Wrath, trading that away. But I will still have my Drake down, and I've still got 2 4 damage Wraths. Oh, a swipe, nice. Traitorous swipe. It was our saviour, and now it has doomed us. Right, I'm certainly not going to be. Do I want to even Wrath this off the table? Claw will let me pop that away, but Claw will also let me trigger my various sort of cards in the late game. So, do I just want to armour up? I can do that. I can then just use one of my Wraths to draw a card, and hopefully that is going to allow us to. Nice, nice. The attacker's gone. I can Wild Growth as well. It's going to give me a little bit, perhaps have a little bit of an edge. Let's see where it's coming. Okay, well, either way, I just need an Ancient of Law. We have no cards. We need some cards. My health isn't so low as to sort of necessitate. Remember, we've got 2 Ancient of Law in this deck as well, so that will give us some options as to perhaps grabbing a heal later. But we've still not seen Pain of Pains, we've still not seen Savage Roar, Force of Nature, or either of our 2 Gadgetzan Auctioneers. Alrighty then, okay, so we now have some nasty minions on the table. However, happily we have some I would say, options to start dealing with this. So do I want to draw cards? Yes, I feel as though I'd kind of like to start ramping up. I can then I can go into a Wrath, which will drop me 3, a Claw will drop me 1, and even though I can't move this off the table, I can silence it whenever it rears its head. So I've also got the other Ancient of Law, that will let me heal up, and I've got the Force of Nature. Ooh, right, so we now have Shade of Nax. Nax versus Ancient of Law, there can only be one, Highlander style. Oh, nice. People talking about their Black Friday acquisitions. Let's have a look. Vengeance has grabbed an Acer Predator. Ooh, that looks like a nice tower. i7 32 up to 32 gig of RAM. Very nice indeed. Nice. Loving it. We're just having a look and seeing, and also Thrash has bought Dino D-Day. I'm wanting to say that that's a film. Oh, it's a game. Oh no, it's a game. My goodness, I did not know what Dino D-Day was. You play as World War II era soldiers. The Nazis have Jurassic Parked it up, and you fight against or play as dinosaurs. Oh my goodness. I need to give this game a go. Okay, so a Stormwind champion has gone down, and he is just biding his time. I don't like that. Now, I would like to silence this. The Force of Nature is not going to give me a finish. How do I get that off the table? Well, I can certainly trade this away, but then I'm going to need to find a way around that Force of Nax. Now, the Treants with Force of Nature and Raw, I'd like some minions to stick to the table. I'm feeling that Moonfiring this is probably the way forward. I'm also going to idly threaten with this, top up with a hint of this, and get my it's that one and the highest model. Get you, Vengeance, with your shiny new computer. I'm going to go and have a look at the models at the bottom. Oh my god, look at that, the Predator. Oh, I do love a good computer. Full data sheet, 12 gigs of DDR3, very nice, quad-core i5. Oh, very, very shiny indeed. Congrats to you. What are you going to be playing on that, Vengeance? That's a very nice machine. Thrash, I love the look of a Dino D-Day. 69p, you say this was on the Steam sale for 69p? How have I not heard of Dino D-Day? For 69p I may have to invest in Dino D-Day. And while we're getting distracted by Dino D-Day, suddenly, StarCraft 2 in League. Get yourself into Heroes of the Storm Vengeance. Right, come on brain, have we got to finish it here? No, not yet. Oh, have we? Right. Okay, maths. We've got 3 Treants, so that'll be 6, that'll be 8 damage in total on the table. 4 minions on the table, 8 damage. And then if we Savage Roar, then that'll be 8, 12, so it'll be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Alright, yeah, that'll be 8 damage, and then plus 2 to that, and then plus 2 to the hero. Alright, 18 is definitely not enough for a win. So we need to be finding a way. Do I draw 2 cards? Do I restore my health? Our Druid could also Force of Nature and Savage Roar. So I'm going to play conservative, and we're going to start chipping away. Now, if I Force of Nature and Savage Roar, then we have options. Ooh, okay, what have we got? 69p. Alrighty then. And nicely done by our opponent there. We've now got 2 shielded Shades of Naxxramas, and that is an evil addition to this deck. You know, I'd very much consider having that in this type of deck. And we can see that he's sort of surfaced himself, none of my spells can be played, and he's actually in a position to finish us off. Very nice indeed. So Savage Roar is not going to do us anything if I'd Savage Roared last turn. So we can see how those 2 Shade of Naxxramas, with that tech, that very nice tech of that Defender of Argus, has just totally finished our plan. And there goes a Savage Roar, and there goes a double Savage Roar. So nicely played. So although we've lost, I'm not sorry. That is a brilliant example of how a very similar deck to ours has just absolutely devastated us. But look how that Defender of Argus really messed us up and got those 2 down as well. Drops off one of our stars, but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck there. Really nicely played by our opponent. And there you go. So we've shown you this Miracle Druid. However, what you might want to consider is, let's just quickly drop out, and before we finish this, let's take a look at the Firebat, sort of early to mid Druid as well, this ramp Druid that we've been seeing from Firebat. It could have been similar, obviously the Big Game Hunter, and there's a few other situational techs, but this one goes after the tank theme a bit more because it's got the Sun Fury Protector. But we saw probably a more force of nature-y, roary Druid that we had, but then that Defender of Argus just suddenly messed us up. We couldn't get through those tanks. It buffed up the 2 Shades, and of course you may notice as well that we just didn't have an answer for those Shades early on. But when those Shades stick to the table, that's really going to cause you some trouble. So thank you so much for tuning in, folks. That's going to be it for the Hearthstone half hour tonight. If we're streaming later, we'll tweet and let you know. We always do a half hour to an hour show, a live piece, and then we do some streaming where we're from now on going to crack out the music, just chat on and similar things if and when we do. Where can you catch us again? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, do check out twitch.tv/FailCraft Cast. You can find us there Monday through Friday. At the times in the bottom left hand corner, I'm also going to look at some daytime content, publishing some videos too. If you're on Twitch, please do check out youtube.com/FailCraft Cast. There's over 100 episodes of the Hearthstone half hour there over on YouTube, as well as Heroes of the Storm, a little bit of League of Legends, and some other fun games as well. Do go check those out, kind of a bunch of fun there. And then last but not least, check us out on Twitter @FailCraftCast. We'll always tweet when we're going to go live with streams, so if you're in a different time zone, we'll always try and let you know when we're going to be live too. And then the website failcraft.org, a few news articles, bits and bobs there. We're going to be gearing up for Goblins vs Gnomes. It's December, we're looking forward to that too. So it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from a very, very sleepy Shep there. Oh, sorry. Shep's had a very long day today. Shep has he's been out for a walk, and then my wiser half has washed him after that walk. He's had an ear wash. And yeah, and then someone came to the door with a parcel, so it's all too much for Shep. Oh, look into the camera, precisely on cue. So thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to be back tomorrow for Pick Your Own Arena, and I'm actually just going to jump back in. We're going to see if we've got the gold. Do we have the gold? No, we don't have the gold. Have we bought our arena already? Oh, okay, right. So for tomorrow's Pick Your Own Arena, it's going to be Rogue, Paladin, or Hunter. You can tweet on FailCraft Cast. And oh, sorry, it's not even that. It's at FailCraft Casts. And we'll pick deck live tomorrow night. It should be interesting. So thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully see you tomorrow night or another time soon. And if you like what we do, please share it. We love to have it shared. It really helps us keep going. If you think we can improve, then just pop us a tweet or something similar or a comment and let us know. So see you soon. Take it easy.